So I mean, how many? So would that mean that you speak 4 languages,
Yeah, I mean, I speak
or at least?
um French, English, Italian, Arabic, and Spanish. 'Cause Spanish is pretty near to Italian, so I
Mhm.
guess I got that skill as well.
Dang.
So yeah, I mean, I guess that comes with it.
Wait, so you learned Arabic from being Lebanese, and you learned Italian from being Italian. You learned English from living in
hmm
LA, and then how'd you learn Spanish? Is that just like a hobby you had? You're like, I'm about to learn Spanish.
No, actually, since it's super close to Italian, it was kind of like it was easier for me to learn it, and also because I just know a lot of Spanish speaking people. Just because LA, there's a lot of people coming from Latin America, so like it's just like a lot of people know how to. I mean, most people in LA know how to say like a minimum in Spanish, you know. So I was like, I guess like because I know people, I just they and who only speak Spanish, I kind of was forced to learn. I mean, I'm not
That's
perfect, but like I could hold a conversation.
yeah. That's really interesting because I feel like in America in general, I mean, I might be stereotyping here, but like that's hard to come by where people are willing to accommodate um English with another language. We're like willing to learn. I mean, at least in the East Coast, from what I've seen, minus
Yeah,
minus
I mean,
Puerto Rico.
I definitely agree with what you're saying, you will. I mentioned like the little joke before with what do you call somebody that speaks 3 languages, trilingual? What do you call somebody that speaks 2 languages, bilingual? And what do you call somebody that speaks 1 language, American?
American.
Yeah, but you know, it
That
is.
one's so funny. It's still funny.
Yeah, no, I mean that definitely says something about our culture and how we see ourselves in the world. I mean, we are kind of separated geographically, but I mean that's not really an excuse. Yeah.
But I mean, like a lot of Canadians know French and English. So I mean, I'm sure Spanish will start slowly becoming like a real second language here. But whenever that
Is it the
may
second
be,
language of America,
I think it is.
or
Let me
like at
double check.
least like demographically speaking,
Yeah,
the
it has
next
to be.
highest number of people that speak?
Yeah. The second language is Spanish.
Okay, true. So yeah, I mean, it kind of makes
Yeah.
sense because I feel like in school or like traditional schools, when you learn language, a lot of times people just gravitate towards Spanish.
Yeah.
School.
Which is interesting. So what like did you learn English at your French school, or was it like strictly like how like American schools have English? I'm assuming French schools would just have French.
Yeah, so basically at my school, everything is taught, like every class is taught in French except for English class. So we obviously like since my school's in America, there's some courses that are forced, like for example, English language, and I had to do 2 years of the U.S. history. But I mean, yeah, besides that, it's all French kind of vibes. And about learning English, I mean, honestly, I don't even know when I learned English. I guess it's just because I guess I learned it at school because I know at home since a young age, my parents made sure they didn't speak English at home, so we learn languages. So I guess I learned it at school because that's how I would communicate with the students besides French.
Wow, that's actually really interesting. So you learned English at your French school.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, at one point, my parents also started teaching me English, but like, at one point, like there was, I mean, at my early life, I probably only spoke Italian and Arabic. So
Wait, so one of your parents is there Lebanese and then one of them is Italian, right?
mhm.
And so do they speak the language of the other person? Like do they speak both Arabic and Italian each?
My dad doesn't speak Arabic. He understands like a couple words, and my mom does speak Italian though.
Oh, that's interesting.
So, yeah. She learned it in college, so I guess it just stuck with her.
Oh, okay. Nice. So I mean, you could have like little secret conversations with your mom, and your dad wouldn't really even know.
Yeah, you already know.
That's funny.
Does that happen often?
No, it doesn't. But like once in a while, there are those moments.
Wow, your poor dad.
Yeah, he gets pretty bullied at my house because he's the only man.
Oh, really? Oh, you have siblings?
Yeah, I have 2 older sisters.
Oh, okay. Nice.
And do they speak the same languages as you do?
Yeah, they do.
So they all speak Spanish, Arabic,
yeah.
and oh wow. I envy you guys. Wow. I wish I was raised in that household. That's crazy.
Well, I mean, you were raised in Amharic speaking. I mean, I don't know how much your parents how much they spoke Amharic with you, but I mean, what you can pretty much speak Amharic and German and English. So I mean, that's pretty good.
Yeah, you have a pretty good number.
Yeah, I guess. Okay, I'm being humbled now.
Dude, I mean, there's definitely something to say about like having parents who speak another language. Like if you're living in America with parents that are immigrants that speak another language, and like making sure like they actually use it with their kids. Because like my mom's Ethiopian, she speaks Amharic, and then my dad's French Canadian, so he speaks French too. But I can't really speak any. They just spoke English with me, which is like kind of disappointing. But I'm working on it. Now I got to do all the work on my end, but.
But I feel like your mom definitely does speak more Amharic. But I've never heard your dad speak French before, or at least in front of me.
Yeah, well, I think it was his first language, and then after living here for so many years, I think he like didn't use as much and kind of lost it, I guess. But like it's still there a little bit.
It's like he listens to this. He's like little.
Oh, petit bébé. Yeah, no,
petit. There you go, man.
I've actually been practicing French just because I used to take it and I used to enjoy it before I switched to Spanish. I mean, Chinese. And lately I've just been listening to French news like on my phone.
Nice.
And like I was like, okay, this can't be that bad. Like similar, but it's actually like I'm like, what the hell? Like, what are they talking about? But no.
Yeah, I don't know how you guys conjugate so many verbs.
You kind of just because like when we were in elementary school, that's all we did. Like that's what we learned. It just kind of comes, like you literally would. I remember my mom like before school, I would like at breakfast, she would give me verbs like on a paper, and I'd have to like conjugate all of them.
Oh my god,
it's some intense stuff. But like you get honestly like I don't know. It can't like after a while of like constantly memorizing it and like repeating the conjugations, you kind of get used to it, and then it like comes naturally.
And I mean, after you kind of learned French, then it gets kind of similar to the other like Romance languages like Spanish and Italian, right? And like the ways they get conjugated, and I don't know. Am I? You can correct me if I'm not.
No, you're right. Like it's pretty similar, and like French and Italian are pretty close. Um, and Spanish, Italian really close. Even French and Spanish. That's why like people in my school are able to finesse Spanish class.
I like the way you describe that.
Yeah, like the things that you hear are crazy. People change letters in like French with French words. They change letters like with like and add an O at the end or an A to like try to sound Spanish.
That's cool.
I
Actually.
mean, that's interesting. That just shows how much like the languages stem from each other.
Yeah.
Just pretty interesting.
Dude, one, I don't know how you describe it, but in learning Chinese, do you think it's easier than or harder than how people usually perceive it?
I mean, from my personal experience, I feel like my Chinese teacher, especially freshman year, she really like dumbed it down. And like, there's this thing called Pinyin, which I know we both use, which is like the English version of Chinese, which sounds weird, but it's like phonetics
Yeah.
for characters, so you don't have to memorize characters like right away. So I guess that makes it a lot easier. But there's this huge misconception that like Chinese is really like it's not intuitive, like it's really abstract. But I think really anyone, if you make the time, you can really learn it. Like I know people who've like are semi fluent and who have just taken it on like Duolingo. But what has your experience been like learning Chinese?
Dude, honestly, um, the weird thing is like if you hear it without any knowledge of how it works, it sounds like gibberish or just like but I think the weird thing is that it's like really intuitive in the way that it's organized. I always think of it like it's a math problem or something. It's like it's in play. Like when you ask a question, it's like ni ji sui la, which is like how old are you? But like one little character can be swapped out with the answer, and you say the same exact thing, but like with a number, and it's like I don't know. It's always just like a plug in, like this plus this plus this, and there's no
Yeah,
like conjugations or anything, so that you can forget about that. And I mean like the
yeah.
numbers. You
No,
explain
yeah.
how that goes.
I mean, with the numbers, I mean, the first three numbers are rarely like I mean, anybody can learn that. Like E is one, where it's just literally like one dash, and then is like two dashes, and then sun is three dashes, and then I mean, when it goes to four, it gets more complicated. But like, not really. It's just like two dashes that are horizontal. But wait, no, I don't even think that is four. But
That's funny.
just messed up right there. But yeah, it's really not as hard as you think. Would you say?
Remember how in that book by Malcolm Gladwell he was describing the tens or like just like how the placeholders make it so that it's really easy to just do numbers in general, just memorizing them.
Oh yeah. Oh man, we should explain this concept to Sara. Wait, Sara, would you ever consider learning Chinese?
Honestly, like I don't know. It's so complicated.
Oh,
It's like so complicated, but I think I have to learn a new language at my university. So I don't know what options they're gonna give me, but I'm probably gonna go with the easiest option because like I feel like I don't know, it's gonna be hard for me to learn a new language.
Fair enough.
You don't think knowing like four other languages will help you learn something else?
Maybe, but like at the same time, like already in my everyday life, I kind of like sometimes confuse some words and just like mix stuff up. So, I mean, I guess at one point I'll eventually try to learn something new. But I don't know, like Chinese is so hard, like it's way out of my norm.
That's the perception.
I mean, yeah, it's an illusion. That's not real. I mean, okay, comparing to like other European languages, it may be a bit abstract, but like it's not as hard as you think it is.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess if someone offers me, I guess I'll say yeah. But I kind of have a bad memory, so I don't know if I'll remember the stuff that I'll learn.
You have a bad memory, and you know like 4 languages. Yeah, I mean, if me and Ewell can kind of learn it, I mean, we're semi-average. I don't know, subpar. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, that's actually facts.
Simple